Jesus, how y'all doing on this beautiful Monday morning? Well, afternoon, actually. Um, yes, I'm doing fine. I'm just letting go of the BS, you know, and I know I don't really come out here on these YouTube streets to even be talking about it too much, but actually I do. But, you know, when you have like toxic family members and friends, so-called friends and stuff, you gotta just let them go. Like one of my shorts, I done that like some months ago, and God has spoke to me and had me to share it just recently today. And like as far as dealing in a relationship, um, like especially it was referring to my children's father. I'm no longer with him. I've been moved on years ago. King Karate is not the father of my two children, which I didn't express that before. We do not have any children together. But like you don't have to stay in a relationship just because of the kids, just to do it for the kids. Now, you know what? I stayed in a relationship far too long with that guy, and I knew that it was toxic because the disrespect, the cheating, the abuse, the neglect, all of that had occurred. And, you know, all it did was just damage my children more. Um, So, ladies and men, please do not stay in a relationship just because you have children by another one. Because in the long run, it's not going to get better. It's just going to like damage a lot of things, especially your children. Like, and I was with him for about 11 years. I got with him when I was a younger queen, 18 going on 19 years old. Um, I had just lost my first boyfriend due to someone unaliving him. That was my first love. And before that, we had broke up or whatever and all that stuff. And we actually had a child together. So I would have had more than one child. I would have been a teenage mom. Um, but that child didn't make it. I had a miscarriage, had lost the baby in a toilet. Uh, God bless, rest his soul or her soul. Uh, just making some of the wrong decisions in life at times, and my first boyfriend, I was with him when I was a teenager, like 14 years old. Um, and we stayed together for like almost about 4 years and so forth. But the trend just kept going on because this guy, the reason why I broke up with him is because he always kept getting in trouble. Like he was a street guy. And you know what a street guy is, okay? Um, Out there selling drugs and all that stuff, but I don't want to talk too much on him. He had a good heart, but he just couldn't stay out the streets and so forth. He started messing with some girl from their neighborhood because I stayed on the other side of town. Um, stayed up, started messing with her, and he told me this was crazy because he told me on my birthday that the girl was saying that she was pregnant by him. And I'm like, that was community. She is a community girl, like community HO. Excuse my French, but I'm just saying. And she had messed with his brother, messed with um, a couple of guys out there that I did know of, and all that stuff. She was just a thought getting passed around and stuff, like, and I'm one of them city girls. He is from the country or whatever and all that stuff. I'm one of them city girls, and you know I gotta come back to go see him and yada 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 yada. Every time when um, every time when I go out there and all that stuff, he come see me or whatever, it be real. But it was just this one time when he told me that, and I was like, you know what? I'm not the one. I was 17 going on 18 years old, and I was like, look, we're not going to be together because you messing with another girl, like, this a wrap for that. And so I broke up with him on my birthday. And when I had, like, thought about it and all that stuff, my cousins and all that, and they like, girl, I don't know, you really do love that man, and you probably should just get back with him, yada, yada, yada. And then I'm over there like, oh, okay, I guess. I don't know, I might give him another chance. But the thing was is that I wasn't, like, valuing myself mainly, because why would I go back to that dude? Like, I went back to him, and it didn't get better. Even though the baby turned out to not be his, but he still was out in the streets. And he always told me to continue going to school and, continue up with my stuff, continue working and all that stuff. You know what I mean? He always was positive, but when it comes to him, he didn't believe in himself on getting him a good job, going to school, finishing the school out, and all that stuff. Rest in peace, you know. But then he went to jail for, like, they were saying that he had like 5 years. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, at first I was gonna wait for him, but then I was like, no, I don't even think that I need to be doing all that. I gotta go on with my life. And, then after that, I, like, met my kids' father, my kids that I have right now. Like, they grown now. And we started dating and all that stuff. And within, like, 6 months, the man proposed to me. And I'm like, okay, you know, this is pretty early, but it was like I was vulnerable, I guess, it seemed like. And, we dated, we spent a whole lot of time together, doing great things. It was a great relationship until, like, maybe about 3 years before we broke up, because he started being mentally abusive, financially. He was holding back things, want to use my money for everything. He didn't no longer want to work like he should have. And he was like this jealous type of guy. He was just so jealous. Every time when I have something going on, he wants to be around, interfere, and all this and that, and it just started getting worse. Um, okay, I already had the kids, and it was just like, I just got tired of it. I got tired of it, and I was like, you know what? I cannot do this no more. Like, threatening to blow my face off and all that stuff, it got to that point, pulling up AKs and all that stuff on me. It was an incident where he put up an AK on me, and God, he gave me the strength. This man, he was like bigger than me, and I was very small. I was like roughly about like 110 or something like that around that time. Put up an AK on me. God gave me the strength to grab it. I don't know why, but I guess he gave me the strength to grab it and flip him over. And I grabbed it and went inside the room with it and locked the door. Like, took my kids in there. But, like, just thinking if this stuff would have occurred, like, and it would have popped off. Just thinking, like, in front of our children and all that. There's just this abuse, disrespectful, and all that stuff, you know? And so I prayed about it. Each time when I wanted to get going, he would threaten me about if I leave, he was gonna do me and the kids. Yes, this is me. This is what happened to me with my children's father. He would threaten me and say that he would do me and do the kids. He didn't even went to saying that he would do him. He would do the whole family. He would put. He would call the police. He would say that he'll call the police. He'll put things on me that I had nothing to do with, and all types of things. Like, literally, like, just trying to downplay me and try to put me as this bad person. And so that's why I stayed. That's why I stayed for those rest of those years in that relationship with him, knowing that it was toxic. Because I didn't want my children to have to suffer at that moment. That was my mind frame of thinking that if I stayed, they would be okay. They really wasn't okay. He would come inside, he used to go to the studio a lot with, I'm not even going to say who the person is because he don't have nothing to do with it, and I don't want to display his name. But he's pretty prominent and big. And he would go there. They would be doing little things that they ain't got no business doing, and making music, yada, 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 and all that stuff. And he'll come back and, you know, be upset, I guess, because I don't know if it was some drugs, the drinking, the just craziness. He'll come back and start stuff with me, want to fight me. And so as soon as I get off on him, yeah, I will most definitely put my hands right back on him because he would put his on me. And it was basically fighting for my life. Um, and so once I get off on him, he would run over in there to go wake the kids up and tell them that I'm trying to harm him and all types of things. And it was sad because he was lying. Then he even stole my kids. He ran off with them. Um, and the police, they would never put out an Amber Alert on him. I don't know what the heck was going on with that, but there was no justice that was served for me in mass. So, eventually, um, I got rid of him, and I had to change my locks and stuff like that. And he even broke back in my house, came in the garage and came in there and cut my finger. I called up some of my family. They came over there and got him up out of there. This is my children's father, not the guy that I'm with now. Um, and it was just a hot mess. It was a hot mess. And I was just thinking, like, why is this stuff repeating itself? I want it to stop, like, with me. I just pray that my children do not have to go through that, because I didn't see, like, my sisters, their friends, like, my aunties, even my mama going through certain things like that. And I'm like, goodness, this is not like no good lifestyle, you know. So eventually I did be able to get away from all of that. But at that moment, when I did leave, well, try to, make sure that my kids are safe, and um, he outright and stole the kids again, and took them, kept sending me threats and all types of things. The justice system did not work for me at all. I had to go back and forth to court trying to get my kids. I told them about the situation, but because things were not reported, ladies, sisters, if you are going through any type of abuse, make sure that you get that documented. Even if they're not doing anything, get it documented, because eventually it's going to work out. Um, Once I started getting things documented, it was like towards the end. And so they really didn't even care. So I think that if I would have spoke out and got things documented, like when it first started occurring, I think something may have happened, but I don't really know, because he had family that are in the justice system, and I believe that's how he got off, to be able to run off with my children and try to sabotage me, whatever. So with all of the threats and yada yada yada, they over there. I guess he ain't do nothing to them at the moment. I guess, I had to get myself right. I had to leave. So that's why I had left my hometown. One of the reasons why I left my hometown is because of all of the threats and stuff. And it was to save myself from being unalived, or from me doing something that I should not be doing, or for me to not have to put myself in a situation where I probably would have been doing life in prison. So I left, and I thought it was pretty cool. I left miles away, and I always kept my location private. And that could be one of the reasons why I still don't share my locations like that, because of the past. And I just want to tell somebody, I'm going to have a part two as well, because I got to go. And time, since I have to go take care of some business. And this is just me coming from the heart right now. Please, if you see anything, you feel some type of way, speak out. Go. Take your children and go. Don't stay because you have children, because it can only get worse. It can be deadly as well. And on another note, I did take my children down to Florida, and we were going to stay when they were younger. But with all of the threats and everything else, I came back. So don't do what I did. I still live with it sometimes to this day. But I know that God still is going to see me through as well. It hurts, yes, and I get upset, yes. I'm only human. But sometimes I think that if I could have done something different, it could have been a different outcome. And I just thank God for even bringing another soul into my life who not only loves God, he loves me. And I don't have to go through that type of bull crap no longer. I don't feel like I have to run. I don't feel like I have to fight. I don't feel like any of that. I feel whole. God is amazing, and He does mysterious things in life. Sometimes you got to go through the fire. But guess what? He is in that fire with you. Because it was a fourth one. It was a fourth one in the fire. So just know. And when you come out, you won't smell like smoke. Not a strand of hair will be sins, okay? But ladies and fellas, get out of that mess. Get out of that toxic relationship if you can. Just because you got kids by somebody do not mean nothing. If they out there abusing, being mentally abusive, physically, financially, emotionally, well, economically, spiritually, any of that, go. Go. Take your kids and go. Take your kids and go. Okay? There are all types of shelters out here for people who are suffering with domestic violence. Safe houses. And your location will not be revealed. And I was told to go to one of them before by a close friend who's no longer here anymore, but I did not. I wanted to take matters into my own hands. And you know that could have caused a whole lot more. I done had to get my number changed so many times, all of that stuff. I just want you to know that there is somebody out here who's going through or who have went through the same thing that you may be experiencing or that you may have experienced. And you don't have to continue to go through that. So please let go and let God. Have a good day. Peace, peace. Part 2 coming up.